All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I may actually officially be getting used to this new Twitter format. It's kind of weird. The way to do it is you have to pretend like it's just like a big phone, and then you can kind of like pretend like you're kind of using your phone, like your big phone. I don't know. I definitely preferred the old format, but I'm starting to, I guess, become functional with this one. Anyway, this is what it is. So. Good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. It was definitely an interesting one. We're down 32 points. And we are done with the month. The month is behind us. So congratulations for that. Here's the month. Here's your monthly candle. Done. Here's July. Look at that. Just like a little doji's, spinning top, kind of southern doji spinning top, but it finished green. So that is one thing, kind of going for it, right? So after this big push last month, it's kind of not surprising to see a little bit of a pause month, right? We do see that occasionally. You get a couple big pushes up, then you pause, right? And then you move. Now it's kind of interesting. Are we going to move off of this? Is this kind of like a little bit of a topping tail here off of the monthly upper Bollinger Band? And is today's Fed news going to be kind of the impetus to start things kind of moving down? We'll take a look here in a few minutes and kind of look at some other charts. Okay, but here's the weekly chart. We do still have two days left in the week. If if they want to and want to get strong, they could bring August green and push this candle up if they really wanted to. But we'll see. It's right now it's kind of it's pretty red right here, so it's sort of like a red kind of hangman-ish type situation. So it's we'll see. We'll see if it wants to see any more downside. The daily chart, and this is kind of a little bit more interesting, right? So we can see here, right, that the upward trend line, right, was broken today. So today's possible first minor pivot, right, of a of what we might see as a potential down move. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. So let's take a look at the price action here today on the 5-minute chart. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff, right? So let's zoom in here a little bit. So these, of course, are the levels that our positive trend subscribers get before every market. Every market opens. So let's see. So here we go. So today, obviously, naturally, we thought today, was going to be pretty choppy, right, going into the Fed, right? And then, we'd expect some movement after it. So here, we gapped up, right? Apple had good earnings, and so we kind of gapped up on the Apple news, and couldn't really hold it very well. Kind of gapped into yesterday's high, and then just kind of worked its way back down, right? It grabbed the, held onto the daily pivot for a little bit, gave a nice green bar, right, to kind of say, hey, ignore all this. Sorry, this is stuff that we shared just intraday. There's a little bit of mess here with the alligators and all that stuff, but that's kind of the idea. So we pushed the way up, right, at a gold cross on the moving averages, and kind of worked its way back up. And then it finally tagged the prior day's high, right? And then it started to chop even more into the Fed, and then the Fed came out with their rate stuff, and so here we are at 2 o'clock, right? This crazy bar, right? And then things started to stabilize. So it wasn't really clear, right? I mean, this kind of was the first shot across the bow, saying, hey, yeah, maybe this is going to be negative. We'll see. But then look at that triple inside 5 right there, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, triple inside bar right there, and then that finally broke to the downside, gave an inside bar, push to the upside. And then it flushed, right? And then it gave that big push down. And that was a huge move down. It came all the way down to the weekly S2 pivot, right? And came off of that. And then we basically just kind of closed inside that last hour of the candle. That's why I don't know if you guys saw the last tweet on Twitter, but every FANG stock, if we go to the 60-minute chart, right? Every FANG stock, including the SPX, put it inside 60, right? I mean, just take any random one like Amazon. Right? Give that 60 anchor bar. So kind of gave this inside 60 here. If you take a look. Right? So inside 60. Most of them did that, right? Because that last hour before the close, right? Most of them put in kind of that red hammerish and then just kind of paused, right? So really, really interesting bar kind of going into tomorrow. So tonight, basically, just kind of talking about where we're at, right, and where we're going from here, and it's kind of interesting. So let's take a look at the kind of the broader range chart, right? And so if we look at this, and we usually look at this on a daily basis, but just kind of want to show here on SPX kind of where we're at, and then we'll take a look at the shorter term trend lines and just see kind of what we're looking at. So So here's your bar today, pretty big down move right there. And so where we pivoted, right, is at this 30.27 level. You know, I was really kind of expecting us to maybe tag this 30.30, 30.35 area to literally touch the top of the channel. Of course, it's never an exact science, right? But we get pretty close. But this channel, as we've been talking about, you know, most nights, you know, has basically been a you know, kind of our trend channel since you know, since 2018, right? So, you know, kind of enter into 2018 in January, we drop down, get some volatility there, right? Come back down, test the low end of that channel, right? Worked our way all the way up here, right? Essentially defining the top of the channel, and then here, right, bounce back off again, right? So the question is at this point, you know, when would we reach back here? And after the Christmas reversal, we've been working our way up, right? So now that we're up here, right, you know, where do we go? So the question is, with a big bar like this, does it continue, right? So, you know, we kind of mentioned yesterday, we have a chance of testing the support zone right here, right? And we're pretty close to that right now. So, I mean, if we get a continuation of that, you know, maybe, I don't know, futures are starting to kind of come up a little bit, right? You know, so they're not quite negative. They seem to be holding on. So we'll see. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was just the first initial reaction, you know, or is it the beginning of a move? So what can we do, you know, to look at and determine if that really is the case? So, you know, one kind of special chart I have, and you know, this is you know, something I share with newsletter subscribers. Let me find this here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. All good charts, actually. So yeah. So a couple things here. So this is pretty key, right? So this particular chart here is kind of like what I call like the summary chart. This really tells us where we're at, right? So what happens is, right, when we use our trend line methodology, right, we start at the low and we go to the high, right, and then we go to the next pivot where we're not intersecting, we're not cutting through anything else, right? So basically it would be this pivot right here, and then it happens to, you know, kind of mesh with this. So that gave us our upward trend line, right? And so next, the real concern is what happens if we break below this trend line. And so this happened yesterday, actually. So you can kind of see here, this low, right? Yesterday's low hit about 3,000 and came back up, right? So, you know, gave us a you know, relatively green day. If I switch this over to candlestick mode, right? So we had, like, you know, remember we had that narrow range inside day, and what happens from those, right? And this is that other narrow range day. So from contraction leads to expansion. See that? Contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, right? So you can see that, right? So yesterday was kind of like actually the first shot across the bow, right? Because we closed below the lower trend line. Well, the question is, why don't we move the lower trend line off? Is because this didn't make a new high, right? The last new high was here, and so you kind of tag it to the previous pivot before that without intersecting through any other bar. Now you can touch the bottom of the other bar, that's fine. That just gives you more confirmation of the trend, right? But that's the key, right? So yesterday was really the shot across the bow, right? So that kind of showed you right here. So the real point is if we cross below today's low, we should have seen some follow through to the downside, and we did, right? So so that was the first thing. So now it's given us a new minor pivot. So we may see a little bit of an up move, right? We may see like a pause day, may work up. Maybe by Friday we'll be up to like back to 3,000 and kind of chopping, and that's fine. The whole point is that if we get back below this level now, today's low, 29.58, then we could start seeing some major gaps getting filled. Okay, so one gap actually did get filled today. So that was this one right here. There was a closing gap right here. So even though you can see the open gap was filled by the shadows, the close of this bar, right, was 29.85, and the open of this bar, right, was 29.94. So it was about a 10-point gap that still needed to be filled there, and that got definitely filled today. And we're basically kind of like right below that range. So that got pushed through today. Right? And so where did we go? We went all the way down to, right, kind of like these levels right here, right? So the low of this bar was 29.55.92, and today's bar was 29.58. So we're really, really close to those levels, right? It shows that there's some support there, right? And actually that level here, you can see the upper shadow on this, right? Was kind of support. You see a little bit of support here. You know, former resistance became support. Kind of bounced off support. So there is a possibility that we have found support there, and it makes sense with the long lower shadow, right? Okay, so more than likely, probably what we're going to see is like a little bit of, you know, maybe like a little bit of pause day after a big move. Sometimes after Fed, right, we do see, you know, some continuation, so that's possible too. But more than likely, you know, maybe it'll pause, kind of digest it, right? Maybe try to start working its way up, but we just have to watch the price action, see what happens. If we get below these lows, then we can clearly see, and I have these highlighted here, and this is mostly, you know, I usually just share this with subscribers, but you can kind of see here, right? We have this open gap here, open gap here, open gap here, right? Here, here. I mean, there's a closing gap here. I mean, I could continue to illustrate these. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a closing gap here. So there's lots of gaps below right now, right? So that's kind of scary, especially as we start to approach those kind of overbought levels, right? So again, if this is just like a one-day thing and we start to consolidate a little bit, maybe even if we filled like this gap, we kind of chopped around, right, for a couple days and just was some consolidation, then we might see some big reversals out of that, right? So, but until we can get a new high, right, a new all-time high, until we can get a new all-time high, we're going to be stuck below this trend line. Okay, so that is kind of the key right now. So that's a key thing to observe. So if we can't break if we can't break to those new highs, so if let's say we got a new high like here, right? Say like we put a big green bar in a couple days from now, like that. Let's say it's green. Here we go. I know it's crazy. I'm clicking on let's see. So edit. Let's just say it's a green bar. Okay. Then we can move our trend line, right? So activate. And then it would go to whatever, to like this pivot right here. And then we would be back in an uptrend, right? So, but right now, we're here where we are. So that's kind of a key level now. Now the market is vulnerable, right? So obviously big red bar, of course, but also the fact that trend is changing, right? There's a definite change in composure now. So until we can get back above to all-time highs. So that's kind of the key. Now, if we didn't get to all-time highs, so it was interesting too, because that would bring us to the top of the channel, right? So interesting argument here. Just real quick, so I can show you. This is one that we, we kind of tweet out as well. So at this point, right, this would be, it kind of invalidates this count here. I'm just kind of looking at an Elliott wave. And so what I was looking at here is we had like maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly working on a 5. But what happened here is this subwave, if this were a subwave 1, it would not have crossed below the low of this pivot. So that kind of changes the composure of everything. So this wave count needs to be reevaluated. So it kind of shows you that, hey, this bullish count might be readjusted, right? So there's a couple indications. So the composure has definitely changed. So where do we go? Well, we've got those gaps below, and we just have to take it, day by day. So if we are in the beginning of a a possible downtrend, right? We look at possible areas where we could go, right? Well, first is we have some gaps and we have the support zone, right? If we get below there, we've got a few more gaps here, and we've got the pitchfork, right? So this pitchfork, these are legitimate levels of support. And so you can see, we undershot that recently. So I mean, it's possible we see another undershoot and then come back up to test this, and if that fails, then we have the lower end of the channel would probably get a lot of support down here if we got to this 2700 level, right? We might see a lot of buyers stepping up there. So so these are just things to think about, and then you just have to wait for us to see if we can buy the dip. And so one quick summary of that is something that I recently introduced. It is a 3-minute video I did on when it's okay to buy the dip and when it's not. Right? I mean, in general, you can still find tactical places. I'm not saying, you can't buy the dip ever, when there's certain situations, especially if it's, an exhaustive move, right? Certainly. But real quick, one of the, I don't know why it didn't pop up here. Just to show you, this is the, where is this? It should be here. Where's my VIX with cloud? Maybe this is it. Yep, that was it. Just was hiding. Okay, so here's the VIX. Okay, so very, very important, right? So when the VIX on the 60-minute chart is above the cloud, right, above its Ichimoku cloud, right, chances are, right, buying the dip is not going to be the best solution, right? You can still scalp and find something there, but I'm talking about looking for a dip buying opportunity for strong rebound, right? Until this thing gets below the cloud. Right, this is volatility is up, right? It's back in the 15, 16 level. It filled its own gap right here, right? And so the other thing to be that's also very interesting is the volatility of the VIX, right? So when this thing gets over 90, right, it starts to get a little bit rough in the markets, right? So we might be seeing some rocky water ahead too. So as everybody tries to process what the rate cut means and all that stuff, right? The fact is that the markets got jostled today, and we're above. We're above some key levels, right? So even back here, right? So this was really, really big. We got back to the 22 level. Look what happened when we got over that 90% level, right? things really started to spike, and big down moves in the market. So we just have to be prepared for that and kind of know. And so when we know that, we're prepared for that, we're not necessarily taking so many swing longs, right, until we can find like a good pivot point, where where the reversal's in place. And a lot of times that just means evaluating these parameters, right? Looking at the VIX, right? Looking at, the candles and kind of see what type of price action is setting up day by day, right? So, I'm not saying blindly short the market or anything like that, but I'm just saying, obviously we need to keep a tactical approach as we look at gaps that are below. So anyway, that was basically kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window, and I'll get to as many as I can, and we'll try to wrap up by 10:30 so everybody can get a good night's sleep, right? So we could have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So we'll take a look. So still earnings tomorrow, right? We still have some interesting ones coming out. Okay, so here we go. Julian, hola, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Great job today. Awesome. Yes, awesome stuff. Wendy, good morning. Hello, Singapore is beautiful today. Harvey, good to see you. Thanks for joining in, my friend. Julian, great trading this morning. Awesome, yeah. My service works tons, especially your constant live guidance. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good. It's something good to have in the morning. I'm not there like, freaking out and panicking and all that. I'm trying to, find good setups, right? And your entry today was fantastic. So, and, we're going to look to do more of those too, right? Because there's some key stuff that we'll talk about. So great job. Paul, what's happening? Hello, everyone. I like the everyone. So it was pretty cool. Merit Forever, what's going on? Xilinx, hi. What's up? Excellent X. Let's take a look. So Xilinx, guys, this was on the 15 orb list the other day, and I went to the option chart, and there was like nothing going on with it, right? Look at that. It tried to take the inside month up this month, right, and it kind of came back in. Right, so that's one thing to just kind of look at right there. So that is actually kind of bearish going into the month ahead, right? The weekly chart, look at that. It came right off of a shooting star, right? So look at, it's always funny when you go back and look at these charts. It's like, oh yeah, there was a shooting star last week. That means the week is probably gonna, has a high percentage of going down. Huh? Well, look at that, it did. 10 points. So kind of neat stuff, right? So, not always easy, but look, we use our trend lines, right? So here was the upward trend line on Xilinx, right? We broke below it with this bar that gave you a minor pivot, a little bit of a double patty doji sandwich. So patty down, right? And so, it's not easy though. We looked at trading this the other day. This was the 15 orb right here from the other day, and it was tough. The option volume was really low, and it was very choppy. So it made it really challenging to trade on a day trade basis on Xilinx. But swing trading wise, yeah, that was nice. Nice little breakdown right there. So kind of key at this point. So it broke down below this pitchfork level. At this point, maybe it could get to the fib fan line, right? To kind of around this 108 area. Then it goes ex dividend, and maybe somewhere around there we could find a potential reversal. So just kind of keep that in mind. Session, what's happening? Disney. Yeah, let's take a look. Diz. August is here too. It's amazing. Summer's almost over, right? So let's see what we have. Okay, cool. So this is pretty interesting. So Disney, right, took this upward trend line up. I'm going to remove that. Right, it worked on this upward trend line right here, very steep, right? We talked about the other day. Here was your breakdown bar, and it took that down today. That's just what happens, right? So we activate this, right? We did put in a high, so now we can use the next pivot. So here we are. It's actually still good, right? So we're in an uptrend still, right? Even the breakdown today. So really, technically now this bar is not broken down, right? So it is an uptrend until proven otherwise. And maybe tomorrow it gets below it, gives us minor pivot, right? But if it holds this, it's still in an uptrend, right? Upward until proven otherwise. MDB. MDB has certainly been interesting. Too tough to put a steep trend line there because it would just be 2 days. But kind of an interesting pause day today at this old pitchfork level. We'll see. Like I said, like this thing might chop for a little bit, and then we'll see how it handles this trend line. If it puts in a new low, then then we can use this as maybe like a potential, kind of bump and run, right? So we'd have to wait though for that. It's not ready yet. So just kind of have to see. Let's see how this plays out. Doji day, but it is at a little bit of kind of support zone. So we'll see if it can hold that. Netflix. Netflix. I think we may actually be canceling our Netflix soon, finally. So we'll see. But here's where we are. So it did give us an epic reversal, right? So we had boom, 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 really, really nice reversal, right, last week. And then this week is kind of like boom, 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 like to the downside, right? So not quite 3 black crows, but because of this upper shadow here, but in general, right, a little bit bearish. So we'll see at this point, right? So we just have to, did this become like a minor pivot here? Is it kind of holding these levels? We'll see, right? It's basically within the exact same range where it was on earnings right now. So if it breaks down below kind of like that prior 15-orb low down like, below like 321-ish, right, we might see, kind of back here, right? So it's like 311-ish, right? So just something to keep in mind and just kind of keep an eye on. So, right? So at this point now we might chop a little bit, and if we can, then we got like a trend line, potential trend line. But you can use this arc kind of as an example. If we break out of that arc, then we might see another push up. But it's a lot of mess up here, right? And it couldn't get back in that range. It tried, real nice reversal to get to it, but couldn't quite get back in it. So we'll see if it wants to get back in there or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's strong enough to do it. Big moves though. Certainly some big moves. It was up big today. When everything was down, it was up like $6 or something like that, and then it kind of came back in. So had an 8-point drop after that. Lilly, let's see. Tough. How's this looking? Hold on one second. Sorry. I'll get this thing adjusted here. Auto zoom. Okay, so Lilly had its earnings here. Okay, this was kind of day 1. So today was day 2. Let's see how it behaved today. Let's say like on a 30 orb. Good. So today was a 30 orb on Lilly, right? Because it was day 2 after earnings, right? So it never really broke out of its. That might have actually been the full range of the 15 orb. Let's take a look. Yep. Look at that, just stayed with inside the 15. So nothing really tradable there except for that inside 15 up for a shot to take out the orb. Never could do it, right? But today, beautiful. Inside 30, 30-minute orb, right? Takes through a couple key levels, and then boom. Nice move on Lilly today. 30 orb. Is it tradable? I don't think I've ever really traded Lilly. I've looked at it. I might have traded it once. Not too bad. 6-cent spreads here, a little bit here, but possible if you can catch a move. Volume's okay too. So so we'll keep an eye on it. You can look at tomorrow as another 30 orb potential, right? So, but that was the move today. And so where's it going, kind of big picture wise? Overall the trend is kind of downish. I'm gonna remove the fib arc here. It's a little bit crazy. Okay, so we could do another one. We could go from peak to trough here. Just kind of use that as a potential guide, right? So, but peak to trough. There's kind of your trend. Look at that. It's holding that trend line. That's from that pivot right there. Tag. It's look at that, and bounced right off of that downward trend line. So really, really choppy, really, really wicky, right? Lots of upper shadows and lower shadows. So we'll see. We'll see if it chops around for a little bit. And again, the key is getting over this downward trend line to see if we can get a move to the upside. So very, very neat stuff. Dennis, good evening. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in again, man. Appreciate you. Sarah, good evening. NetFry, what's happening? Enjoy Life Apparel. Hello, Nudie Poo. What's going on? Is it time to go short? Yeah. Do we just blindly short? No, we don't blindly short, but we use tactical ideas. So it is possible, right? We could see, we could see, a lot of gaps filled below, and just kind of progressively start to work down. I don't think we're bear market stuff, but I do think we could see a little bit of a pullback. But we look at those levels. So let's take a look at Pays. It's definitely while that VIX is over that cloud, it's definitely not the time to go crazy long either, right? So, at least not for me. Okay, just caution is warranted. So Pays has been really neat. Right, this was a speculator when he was on. This is one of his has been one of his favorite ones to look at. I mean, it has been really impressive, right? So we had this big down move here. So sort of like the market today, right? Then put another minor pivot, right? So took out that low, another minor pivot, and then couldn't get below it. So that's really your key level there. That 1232. If it gets back below that, it could be a little bit rough. But you can see here, big lower shadow. It pushed down and came back up today, which is pretty strong for it. So so far so good. It does have earnings pretty soon. So that's the only kind of concern right there. Is see how it does with earnings, and then see if it goes. I don't think I've traded this one either. Let's just take a look real quick and see if it's day tradable. Not so much. I mean, maybe you can trade the August, but it doesn't have the weekly expirations or anything like that. But it's possible you could catch a little move in it. There's a little bit of volume today, so something there. Very, very interesting. It did pull up today pretty well too, so that's good. TuneFed, what's happening? Spot, my pleasure. Let's take a look. This is great, right? That was a huge move right there. That was that lower pivot we were looking for. It turned into a bull flag, came up, back down, right? Another trend line, up, right? Then here, there. So basically today is kind of like the key bar, right? So if it breaks below today's lows, we might see a push, might test like that 142 level, right? If not, right, we could get constructive and put in kind of like a little minor high right here and then kind of shift the whole trend, and that would actually move this line here. Or we could still actually move that. Because it did, where did it tag the high? What was the high there? Let me see. High here was 156.80. That was it. That was the high. So that would put this here. Yeah, so we're still kind of downtrending-ish short term. So just be careful with that. It might see a little more consolidation here, I would have to imagine. Cool. A neat one, though. Sarah, WFC, yeah, back to Wells Fargo. Let's see how that's looking. If the chart will pull up for us. There it is. Okay. So we remember back here, right? We got a this bump and then run, right? Gave a minor pivot, back up over the trend line, big push, right? Try to break down this one right here. Okay, but didn't quite do it. So let's just use this for now. Okay, so in general, the trend is still working its way up, right? So both from this old trend line and this new trend line, right? We are, still working our way up. So it might kind of chop around until it hits this, and then it might start moving. So just kind of keep that in mind. Nice little gap up here too for potentially take out. Wendy, let's take a look at Snap and Vive. Sure. So Snap is almost starting to be interesting to trade again, right? I mean, it's given us a lot of really cool setups, right? Lots of, look at that. Remember that gap and go for earnings? That was fun. So it's starting to get really interesting, right, to trade. Like, I like how it's getting close to $20. Like, who knows, maybe it could get up to 50 one day, and then the options could be, more interesting. But it still trades, it's starting to get more tradable, right? Ultimately, in terms of the steep uptrend, right, it's kind of broken it down, but really here's your earnings gap. Your key level is holding $16, really. If it can hold $16, it might just chop around a little bit and then, kind of start to work its way up again. I would actually like to see that, sort of this type of consolidation right here, and then a pop. So that would be pretty neat to keep an eye on. And then Vive, where's Vive? I don't know why I don't look at Vive every day. It's up $4 on like a down day, and it didn't even have earn. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, it's just such a amazing stock. It really is. So look at that. So inside day up today. So there's your inside day. Took that up. This was like, we looked at this last time, right? It gave it like a little bit of an inverse bump and run right down, and so it is. It tried to run here. It couldn't do it. Came back down, tested that line. Now it looks like it's trying to run again. So if we get over today's highs, right, we could see this, start to work its way back up. So, I mean, Vive just held up really well. Right. Very, very nice. Held its earnings gap well. Lower, higher lows, higher highs, and it could be working up to a new high. I just wish I got it down. Maybe we were tracking it down here. I wish we just got it down here when it broke out of the pitchfork and just held. I mean, just that was from 94. I mean, it's doubled since then. It's incredible stock. Incredible chart. TuneFed, just want to say, always appreciate the great work. Keep up. Thanks, TuneFed. Appreciate it, and appreciate you and your support. Call Saul. Hey, we're gonna put an asterisk by your name. Call Saul. So, let's take a look. All right, so we looked at Diz already, right? So Diz is upward until proven otherwise, or uptrend until proven otherwise. Tesla. Let's see what that did today. Didn't that give like a big reversal today at one point? It always seems to do that. It came back in and gave a little bit of a doji here. So it's working. It's trying to get its way up to fill this gap. Obviously it's never going to be a straight line. So the 30 orb kind of moved with the market here a little bit today. It did have a nice reversal inside 15. Kind of brought that up. So at this point, Tesla just a little bit of a pause day. Could be a doji sandwich, right? So a little bit of a pause here. See, up, pause, up, potential, right? With a gap fill above. Could work. Could happen. Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, I looked at earlier. It was just below its pitchfork level. All right, closed below that today. At this point, let's see. Let's kind of zoom in here. Okay, so put in a new low so we can adjust this trend line. Activate. There. Okay. So we just have to see, right? See what it does. I mean, today's high is going to be key. Getting over that 198, 199 level is going to be important. And then, then it could start working its way back up again. But right now, it's still kind of a little bit of a downtrend here. And my pleasure. And then, yeah, I know. Gosh, Amazon guys, we did a straddle today on Amazon, and it was very nice anyway. So good stuff. But yeah, a YOLO on that would have been good. It went, yeah. I mean, it basically doubled. It was beautiful. But anyway, Sneak Jones, what's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in again. Albert, what's happening? Hopefully that kind of covered the state of the market, where we're at, where we could be going. NVIDIA. NVIDIA, yes. Nice job on this one today. So here's our pitchfork, right? Look at this. I'll see the blue, how it's highlighting and unhighlighting, right? So this is a big macro pitchfork level that we've been dealing with, right? Here's your midpoint line here. Came back now, still a gap to fill here, right? Never filled that yet. Even with that push, I couldn't believe it. We swung this long, right? In the newsletter, and we were trying to fill this gap, and it got so close out of this triangle, and then didn't do it, and then it kind of came back out and all this stuff. So we also swung it again, right? So because everything moves in cycles, right? So we were successful swinging it again, and then it kind of came back down and all that stuff. And so here we are now. Basically, after today, I think we had the inside day yesterday. Yeah, hold on one sec. Inside day. Not quite inside day, but yeah, it helps if you zoom in on it. I'm like trying to need a microscope. So not quite an inside day, but it did take today down. I mean, here it's kind of holding a couple levels here, right? So I mean, you can kind of see there's some congestion. I mean, if you did this, you kind of make it a little bit clearer. See all that kind of congestion in here, support. So we kind of held that level today. So we'll see if it holds out. If it breaks down today's low, we might see this kind of 163.50 area or 164. But if it does hold, we might see this, and then we kind of have this bit of a lower trend, downward trend line that we're kind of tracking at this point. So nothing really spectacular going on right now. So with that, but nice down move today. It was definitely on our momentum down list today. So Sneak Jones, do you think we keep the volatility going and beyond? Great call on Apple last night too. Oh yeah, cool, nice. I thought we had a good talk on Apple and where it might go, and it did. It did the gap and go today. It came over. Real quick, if we look at if we go to the Apple daily, right? Look at this, nice reversal bar too. See if it holds its gap. Would have been a nice area to short right at the top there, but 1 second. And it was possible as well. But remember this level right here? That was a key pivot right here. When we gapped above that, right, we opened above that. That means anybody short there, right, even the algos or anybody's holding, right, uses a key level, right, they cover. And they give that real nice bump and run. And we filled this little gap here today. I think there was another gap above somewhere that we didn't quite fill, but yeah, we didn't fill the closing gap on this one. So, but still, nice move today, and the gap and go kind of made sense. So hopefully, plotting those levels did help out a little bit. So, so good stuff there. So do I think that Beyond can keep going? Yeah, or just keep being crazy? Yes, I think so. I think this is going to be a fun one to trade for a while. It's been given great charts. Intraday stuff has been pretty tradable. It's given some pre-market data that's interesting. I think it's until it gets like really kind of back. If it were to get like back down to 45, then it might get boring again. But as long as it's over in triple-digit land, right? It's fun to trade, right? Because if it can move $5-10 on the options, that's just fantastic, right? We can get some really really great moves on it. So hopefully inside day today. So we'll see. Definitely keep an eye on it tomorrow. See if we can take out any of those levels, right? There's a nice gap below. There's some triangle support right here. So it could potentially eventually fill this gap here, right? So, but that would still keep it triple digits, and then they could chop around for a little bit. But it got some great bars right here that have been very very tradable intraday. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. So Casey, Shirley, how's it going? Good to see you. Good stuff. Yeah, so you got Siri. Hope you're doing well. Hope you handled today's Fed minutes in good stride. Let's wait till this. See if my charts come together here. Okay. So Siri. Hey Siri, right? Different Siri. There you go. Held it pretty well, right? Uptrend to privilege. Just be careful. Surely you got X dividend coming up, so just watch that. Watch out for that. LPI. Okay. Yeah. I'm a little, kind of a little cheapy, right? But it's as long as this thing kind of opens up, yeah, it's kind of breaking above this kind of volumetric zone. So, I think that does have some potential. You've got earnings. Do we have earnings today? Yeah, after the close today. So, how did that do today? Yeah, kind of uppish, yeah, a little bit good. So good. Yeah. So if it takes out, those, today's high, or kind of if there's like a pre-market level, that could be pretty good too. And then JWN. Yeah, it's pretty tough, with a lot of things down, a couple setups, a little bit broken here to the long side. But yeah, you're still finding some nice ones, right? So, wow. Is this Nordstrom? Wow, it really got beat up. I haven't traded this one in a while, but it was last time I looked at it, it was pretty high. I mean, it was wow. I don't think it was in the 20s right now. Why am I doing this? Goodness gracious. Sorry, guys. I want to see a little bit of that. Yeah, it was up in like the 50s, 60s. But yeah, big move today. It had some news today. I can't remember what it was. I heard it real quick in the background. New proposal to increase stake in retailer. Okay. New leader. Hell of news today. So there's a proposal and all that stuff. But yeah, so it had some big news today. So yeah, so definitely looks interesting. I like how the volume came in here. I like it's a big green bar, so I think it's got some good potential on that one. Hey Sahil, how's it going? SQ, sure. Let's take a look. So we looked at this one recently, and we talked about how it's also having trouble getting over its upward trend line. And so there it is. We're still in that same situation, but it didn't break down horribly. Right, so it broke down, but not horribly. So let's take a look. So yeah, I mean it's still kind of working right here. We do have like kind of these minor pivots. So anytime it breaks any of these lows here, right, just kind of watch out, right, because it could start. I think it could possibly test that 74 level. So just keep an eye on that. Arethe, how's it going? How's about Snips? Let's take a look. SNPS. So, yeah, let's check it out. Inside day down today. That was kind of a big move. So for Synopsys, let's take a look here. So big range today, 4.5 points is pretty good. Here was the upper trend line. And basically from here to the high to that pivot, right? So you can see it gave you that minor pivot right there. So yesterday's inside day was key, right? A breakdown below that low to trigger a breakdown below here is kind of like your setup. So 133.85 to give that additional push, and it didn't quite fill this gap, but a breakdown below today's low could eventually see that happening, right? So just keep that in mind there. So good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I hope everybody found that helpful. So we've got some things to look to see what's going on. We have 2 days left this week for trading. We got some. I'm sure we'll have some fun news and some interesting stuff to enjoy tomorrow. Then hopefully give us some nice setups. And at this point, if you're new here, please subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you had a chance to, if you're not already following on Twitter, definitely check us out on Twitter. We post charts and ideas. Hey Merritt, AMD. Let's take a look at AMD real quick. And so AMD was also a gap and go, but to the downside, right? Oh boy, so many levels. Let me show you a clearer set here. Okay, there. Okay, so see this minor pivot right here? The fact that we gapped below that was just like Apple gapped up. The fact that we gapped below this showed that there was a potential for a down move, right? And so it actually gave us a nice gap and go to the downside. Now where it landed is very interesting. Right, so we landed right on the upward trend line. Okay, maybe slightly above, but pretty much right on that in that zone. So keep this in mind, right? So if we break down below today's lows and we get that minor pivot, right? We got some kind of supportish around 29, right? Kind of a little bit of support here. But if it holds today's lows, I think it could be due for a good reversal. So that'll be a nice 30 orb for us to track tomorrow. So good stuff. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Merritt Forever. Thank you, Betray Alexo. Appreciate. Oh, Stamp. Sorry, STMP. Is this thing even still around? Gosh, remember when it was like in the hundreds? It's been just getting slammed a lot. So it's got earnings coming up pretty soon. I guess the question is it going to be a penny stop this time? Right? What are they going to say this time? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we lost all our business. Right. So we could definitely see it move. Right. So when is it coming up? 8-7. So you got a week to see, right? Because once you lose like your business with the post office and your stamps.com, you're gonna be a penny stock. So Stamp Q, SMDC4S, what's happening? Oh wow, so plus 13 to minus 40. That is impressive. Yeah, hit those puts. That's right, exactly. Just keep riding those puts. So nice, good stuff. All right, Aretha, awesome. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys, cool. Yeah, so be sure to check us out on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and if you really like us, check us out at positive-trends.com. We're actually going to be having some new, breaking stuff up into a couple more affordable segments too, for anybody interested. So kind of stay tuned on Twitter for some new price points that I think you guys will find interesting. So good stuff. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of your night, and remember your risk first, and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.